Now, who do I have winning it? Who do I have winning it? I kind of feel the same way about South Carolina, how I feel about, or I kind of feel about South Carolina the same way I feel about UConn. It's very hard for me to watch what I've watched all year. Seeing as though South Carolina doesn't have the most dominant, as far as they don't have one score that's just dominant. They're just a dominant team. Carmela Cardoza, Malaysia, Fillory, Tuna, Tehina Papua. I know I said your name wrong. I apologize. Alicia Watkins, Bree Hall. Like they have one, two, three, four, five, six players that average 9 or more points a game. Raven Johnson she's been really good, especially with her improvement on shooting the ball. And she leads the team in assists with pretty much 5 a game. It's they play like a unit. They play so well. They play like one. Camila Cardoza, even though she is their best player statistically, she isn't. It doesn't seem like she dominates the game in a sense because she doesn't have to. Everyone else helps. Like it's just a dominating force, and it would be very, very shocking to me if they don't make it to the Final Four at least. Now, I think that how they play, they have the best shot out of anyone to make it to a Final Four. So obviously, I have them in my Final Four, but I just think I think it's going to be tough for anyone to beat that team, and I have them meeting Texas in the Final Four. Now, I will say this: there were some upsets that I had. I mean, I think Utah's has a good shot at beating Gonzaga in the second round. I think Tennessee has a really good shot of beating NC State in the second round. I think Stanford is going to beat Maryland in the second round. But I do think that Maryland is going to beat Iowa State in the first round. There are some upsets on that side, but I just think Texas has been the best overall team in the regional four. And I have them going to the Final Four, meeting up against South Carolina. Now, a team that I didn't speak much about is obviously the reigning champs in LSU. LSU has had, when you look at their record, they haven't had it down years. They're 28-5. They're second in the SEC, obviously, to South Carolina. They have 6 players. I don't know, 2, 4, 6 players that average more than 10 points. Which, as we've obviously seen in college basketball, that's not something to just let fall. Like they have Angel Reese, Anissa Morrow, Malaysia Williams, Flo J. Johnson, Haley Van Lith. Like they have a squad. The issue with this squad is there are times that they play down to their competition. And there are times when if they're not hitting shots, it's very tough for them to they're not that good a 3-point shooting team at all. But kind of like North Carolina, their ceiling, they won national championship last year. You have a player that averages 19 and 13. They have a shot of when they're firing on all cylinders, it's almost impossible for me to see them lose. Like it is tough. So I understand that they're on the region or regional 2, which has Iowa in it, and I think that the committee obviously wants to see a rematch of last year's national championship. But I think that LSU is still good enough to make it to the Final Four, and I think that LSU is still that team that can go back to back. So I at least have them going to the Final Four. And I know, I know I had a lot to say about Virginia Tech. And I do think that USC is in an incredibly tough bracket, whether we talk about USC or we talk about Kansas, we talk about Baylor, we talk about Syracuse, UConn. I think. Ugh, I don't think. I think this the best overall team in this bracket is UConn. The Paige Beckers. I just think that they're good enough to overcome a lot of things. Now, I will say this: if you're unable to slow down and stop Elizabeth Kitley and Georgia Amore at Virginia Tech, then you're going to have a long day. And I mean an incredibly long day. Because that's a tough duo, you know. Like, I don't know how you're going to stop that. My Final Four, I have South Carolina, Texas, LSU, and Virginia Tech. I had the Virginia Tech train last year, and I think that it's going to be an incredible game between them and UConn. I think that obviously Virginia Tech is going to beat USC, even though I think USC put the brakes on them before, or was it Stanford? Yeah, man, I changed my mind. I'm changing my mind live. I'm not. I'm going to say LSU and UConn. I think UConn is going to make it to the Final Four. So my Final Four is South Carolina, Texas, LSU, and UConn. And I have South Carolina with a rematch with LSU in the national championship. Now, on paper, it's a great matchup. We saw how it ended in the SEC championship, or SEC championship. Hopefully, all that doesn't happen again. I'm sure it probably won't happen again. But let's be real here. South Carolina has beat LSU 16 straight times. I don't know if people knew that. 16 straight times. South Carolina is obviously just one of those teams that LSU had, or they had LSU's number. And kind of like I said about UConn, I do not think there is a team that can beat South Carolina straight up. And LSU, they have the names, they have all the rest, they have the coach, Kim Mulkey, she's a great coach, but I have South Carolina winning the national championship this year on the women's side. While I do have a rematch of the SEC championship in South Carolina LSU, I essentially have South Carolina winning the national championship.
Oh man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.